have a little note that says, there
Yeah,
we go.
me too. But then it said some error thing. So we'll see. Whatever happens, happens. Welcome. We are going with the flow today as we work with technology. Hello, and welcome to Prasada Talks, Presence at Work. Alice, we were just joking. Alice is making us sweat a little bit. I wasn't sure. Alice and I have been in meetings all day and very present, and I wasn't sure she was going to be here. And I was like, Alice, not present. We're so glad that you are here and that Sarah is here. Let's all just take a moment to breathe and arrive and check in, and then we'll dive into what we're talking about. So just join me in sliding towards the edge of your seat. So hopefully your feet can be flat on the ground. Let your arms just rest by your sides or on your lap. Press your sit bones into your chair and lengthen your spine a little bit more, tail to crown. And then let your eyes soften, or maybe even close if that feels comfortable right now. Let's tune into our breaths with 3 breaths. So taking a deep breath in through your nose and a long breath out of your mouth. Good. And do that twice more at your pace. And this last exhale out of your mouth, let your attention drop down into your body. And notice how you feel in your bones this Wednesday afternoon. Notice your energy level. And observe your mind. Notice how fast or slow your mind is moving. Observe the quality of your thoughts. Just acknowledging how you are in this moment. Take one more breath in. One more breath out. And I'd like to pose the question for us all who are here live. And if you're attending, share this in the chat. What's your internal weather like right now? Share that in the chat. What is your internal weather like? And Alice, what's yours? We'll go around just so you have examples too, in case you're like, what does that mean, Meg? It's sunny outside, but is it sunny inside? How are you, Alice?
So I recently got the privilege to spend 2 weeks in Jamaica. And one of the crazy things about the weather in Jamaica right now is it can be perfectly sunny, and then suddenly there's this huge storm and thunder and lightning, and then it just passes. So I feel like it's one of those days where it's seeming fine, and then there are these sort of emergency storms that pop up, and then they pass quickly. So that's how I'm feeling today.
That's your weather. Sarah, what about you?
I'm feeling very sunny internally. Obviously, the weather outside is awesome, but I do have to give a little bit of a shout out for our Phillies tonight. So I'm very excited about the game. I'm going to try to stay present as long as I can mentally, but I'm very excited. So it's going to be a good day.
Awesome. That makes me think actually of my friend Jill. We watched the Phillies game on Saturday and she needed to distract herself. She was like, I'm glad you're here so we can talk and catch up because I'm so stressed about the game. I can't even watch it. I'm like, why are we here? But it was fun to kind of bounce back and forth between when things got stressful. She had to totally shift her presence and focus onto something different.
Yeah.
My weather today, if you're here with us live, share in the chat. What's your weather like? Mine is a little sunnier, but I feel like the presence of some possible storms has been sort of how I've felt all day. But yet sunny in the midst of it. That's where I'm at. So Alice, tell us a little bit about this specific. So this is something that we do in our internal meetings. This is something we do in a lot of our presentations. Is this time for 3 breaths? And this time for check-in. And it's really an essential tool that we see in this ability to build our mindfulness muscles, right? To build our ability to be present. Can you tell us just a little bit more about why?
So I love, you guys know I love metaphors. So I was thinking about just the driving. And so, when you start driving, you start going at a pretty decent speed. But in our material world of driving, there's also stop signs and stop lights. Because if we were all just driving fast all the time without these stop signs and stop lights, we'd all be smashing into each other. And so it's the same kind of thing where, we have one experience where we're trying to wire money somewhere. And then we quickly come into another place where we have a different role or a different responsibility. And then suddenly someone says, hey, but what are we going to have for dinner? And they don't know anything about those other things that you've had. So this 3 breath practice for me is really almost like a mental and physical stop sign. So I can just say like, oh, wait, oh, yes, there are other people traveling here. Maybe, and other people are also hopefully stopping. And especially when you do it at the beginning of a meeting, everybody's stopping to say like, okay, now what? Okay, oh, it's you go first, and then you go first, and then I go first. So I think that's my best metaphor that I'm throwing out there for today. It's just these little pauses where we get to also collect and go, well, I had to be more assertive in that last role, but in this role, I need to be a better listener. And we talk about, there's a term called context shifting. And it actually is, and most of us have to do that. We have to go from one task to another task to another task. And if we don't have that conscious moment of, I'm doing something different, and the human mind and emotions and even our bodies is never going to be able to get as efficient as we have been able to get technology more and more efficient. I mean, we still live in a system that is somewhat, yeah, it's flexible, but even that capacity to just adapt. I mean, we might even have a different posture. So it takes a minute for you to just say like, I was doing like this, and now I need to be more like this. So that's kind of how I think about it in terms of the 3 breaths, getting back. And I love, maybe Meg, maybe you tell them about our stop, drop, and breathe practice that we have. That's something we really teach people about how, what is that? What does when you get to that stop sign mean?
Yeah, let's do that a little bit later, kind of bookend this session with some practices, because we really want to give you a lot of tools this month. So our theme for October is presence, which is one of your most valuable things that you can give to yourself, to your family, to your friends, to your coworkers, to your team. In this age of just so much fast-paced technology, distraction, overwhelm, like presence is a valuable resource. And you can feel it, right? You can feel when someone is present with you, right? And when someone's listening and when someone's engaged. And actually, Alice, I was just thinking like your metaphors always invite me to be really present, because they usually start and I'm like, where's this going? It doesn't quite like I really have to like zoom. It's like a beautiful tool that you use, right? To paint a picture for our minds to understand something differently, but also to get us present. Because if I wander off, I'm going to miss the whole point, right? Because it's just this intricate painting that you're sort of giving us. So today we're here to talk about presence at work and really just give some ideas and tools that we use as to how you can just develop that presence, that focus, and how you might support, your teams in doing that. How you might suggest that, because there was one in one of our programs, Mindfulness at Work, Jack found this statistic from a breakfast cereal company, and it says like 70% of people and of the time people are not attentive in meetings. Right. And we're always like, oh, there's a lot of meetings throughout the day. And the meetings are these times for us to get together, talk about a project, and then actually work on it. But if you're not paying attention and present, it's the lack of presence equals like just a lot of wasted time, right?
Yeah.
Resource for all of us, for yourself, because you're like, oh no, I don't remember what I was supposed to do. now I'm going to waste some time either trying to figure it out, or I'm going to bother somebody else who might be busy. And it's just developing these skills to really be present helps us do better work, feel like it's more meaningful, and then just have more time to, have a walk after work or something, or
Yeah.
meaningful conversation and connection with somebody at work, that might not be about the project, right? It offers more opportunity for connection. And Sarah, you get to interface with our clients a lot more sort of in their planning prep and sort of figuring out, what do I need and where are we struggling, and what are some things you're hearing lately? Because I know the atmosphere changes a lot over the years, over the 10, 15 years we've been doing this. So what are people
Hmm.
expressing right now they're struggling with, just in the realm of like being present at work, and how does that affect the landscape?
Yeah. So I feel like we're still really hearing a lot about burnout, the B word. That still comes up almost 90% of the time when I'm talking to clients about planning programs and talking about what their current environment's like, what are some of the things people are struggling with. And, when I hear that word, I, of course, feel empathetic for everybody because I know what that feels like to be burned out. But I also get a little bit excited because I know that there's remedies for it and things that we provide that we can really help people do that are so simple that will directly affect those feelings of burnout. And the most important one that I've discovered along the way, just through things that I've learned with the work that we do, is developing a mindfulness practice so that you are present. And what that means in relation to burnout that I've found, even just for myself, is that, the more we practice mindfulness, the more, we become aware of the changes in our mood, in our actions, when we start to get to that boiling point. And what I think happens a lot for people who do get burned out is that they don't notice those red flags that start to pop up before they implode and become burned out. And what seems to help is starting to practice more mindful breathing or taking a break and starting to get your mind used to being more aware to the feelings that arise when you're getting to that empty tank. And I know for myself that helps a lot. It doesn't mean that those things don't happen anymore, but less of them happen for me when I am more aware, like, wow, okay, my patience is getting completely thin with people who I love and who I would never talk to like that. I need to pump the brakes a little bit. So those are the things that I'm hearing a lot about, but I do um, think that there's a solution for that. And in the topic that we're discussing, I wouldn't say it's easy. It's not easy to become more mindful, but the way you do it, I think, is simple. The tasks and the practices around becoming more mindful are simple and can be woven into your workday. It doesn't have to be something that I have to do by myself. It's something that I learned how to do by myself because we do it together at work and have always done that. And that's how I was introduced to it. So I think for clients to, especially people in management positions, if any of you are listening and you're really trying to help your team, bringing these opportunities into an already scheduled meeting, something you already have for the week, for the month, where everybody is going to be present, either virtually or in person. Take a few minutes at the very beginning as part of an agenda item. Pencil in 5-10 minutes where you're going to take the moment and bring everybody on the same page, because everybody's coming from different areas and different meetings, or maybe just dropping their kids off at school, battling traffic to get in, whatever it is. People are coming in with a different mindset, but bringing everybody in just for a few minutes completely changes the focus. And now everyone's on the same page. And hopefully you have less of a chance of that 70% of no one paying attention to what's going on happening. So
Yeah. And
those are some of the things I try to recommend to people. And,
it's a skill, as you were speaking, some things that were coming to mind are like, it's a skill that we can
yeah,
develop. And yes, sometimes it seems so simple. It's like, Like we're a society that likes complex answers and fancy
Yeah.
answers, expensive answers. It's a simple, repeatable skill that we just need to practice and figure out. And one thing that you were also saying about burnout, and I think this, I was reminded of The Heart of Yoga is a really beautiful yoga book. And this one image that I always come back to, it's an image of two people sitting, and one has a bunch of arrows going out. And that represents like our mind, its job is to move, right? So that's inherent. Like its job is to move, and we have lots of things outside of us that are pulling our attention outward, really dispersing our energy, right? Dispersing our inherent power versus these mindfulness practices or yoga or meditation, anything that starts to move those arrows inward, right? In a really specific way, that is going to help us to focus, be more present, and then also side benefit, like fill our energy tank back up, as you said. So this can just be a remedy for burnout by just bringing more attention inward, breathing. And there's a lot of science that backs that too. But that's one image that always sticks with me, of like focus outward versus time to focus inward, and how powerful that can be. Alice, do you want to add anything?
Well, it's just that we can get, if we think about the pace, sort of how the pace has increased as the pace of information that is available to us has made us also have this pace and this idea of just kind of eternal urgency. And in reality, a lot of us are just thinking that we're actually somehow going to get ahead of all the emails, and we're going to somehow catch up with the to-do list. And so we start trying to run and race and kind of keep up with it. And in reality, and one of my teachers, Sixtus, who just I learned so much from, said we have to slow down to speed up. And so just what you were talking about, like when you get to the stop signs, like if you want to get to the place that you want to go, and you don't want to feel like you're just this pinball that's getting bumped around all the time, these moments where you actually take that pause, where you slow down, where you see that the urgency is not external. The urgency is sometimes in our minds, like, oh my gosh, I can get that out the door. I can definitely get it. The person is not expecting you to respond within 5 seconds. But somehow you think like it's in my inbox, it's like a hot potato. Like everything's not a hot potato these days. But that's us saying, okay, you know what? That's something that can wait till this afternoon. And that because we're constantly also asked to reprioritize things as they come up during the day. Most of us don't have this controlled structure of our days. I think it's also really, Meg, you were talking about just like having an image. So, for any of us, like what is that image in your internal mind of when you're feeling really calm? In my internal mind, I'm sitting like I would be sitting in my chanting or my meditation. I've got this really big iridescent like bubble around me. And it's so beautiful. And when I feel really good, that spreads to other people. When I feel like I'm in the storm, I feel like Pigpen a bit. And that's what you said, Sarah. It's just about noticing, like right now I'm in Pigpen mode and I'm spreading that dirt and dust around everyone. And how do I put it down? How do I come back? And in my inner mind, because I might not be able to physically do that, but in my mind, and maybe there's a particular thing that you say to yourself. I mean, we all have things that we can say to ourselves. I really am into chanting. And so there's a little short chant, and I will just repeat those words even in my head. And I see myself coming back into that bubble and back into that and spreading that kind of energy. That's what my intention is. That's who I want to be in the world. And it slows things back down. Because if you add up my 80 miles an hour and your 80 miles an hour and somebody else's, when we come together, we have this illusion that we're going to be at 240 miles an hour and we're going to get more stuff done. And in reality, that's just a train wreck. And so I think that, and we need to be talking about that and we need to be saying that, because so often we're trying to have a baby of 9 women pregnant for a month does not make a baby. I love that. I don't know who told me that, but we have this illusion that if we all just come together and we're all just working really, really fast, we're going to get something good out of the end of it. and that's not reality. So I think that's a conversation about presence. And the more that we raise our hand and say, no, I have a human brain and it needs a little more time. And let's slow down, prioritize what the time is that we're here to spend, have everybody commit to their full attention for these 20 minutes to make these 3 decisions. And that's where this whole conversation about AI, I think, is fascinating. I was hearing from some people who are starting to do these AI and leadership programs. No machine is going to be able to figure out the complex problems that we do have, where we're looking at the reality of human beings and the nuances of emotions, extenuating circumstances. There are rules, but there are other things. So, in a way, just like so many of the other technologies, the repeatable things, the easy things that computers can do for us, yes, we're going to move those over. But it actually means, even more important, we're going to still have to have the presence that says, do we have 5 people do this or 3 people do this? Do we submit this to everyone or submit this to no one? Do we make this price point or that price point? And those are the kinds of things that we really need our brains to be in, that equanimical, steady, calm, clear. And we know that our brains, when we're in that downward spiral of like all that busyness and feeling panicked and feeling fear that we're not going to provide or produce or whatever, we cannot make those kinds of really important decisions that we're all asked to do in every position. Every single person, every single day is making decisions that could affect a lot of other people. And we think, oh, well, the CEOs are making decisions, or the people with the money are making decisions, or the people who are the doctors are making decisions. Every single person in the medical system every day could make a mistake that could really have bad, or any of us could be behind the wheel and be distracted and get into a car crash and hurt other people.
Yeah. And sometimes I just want to add on to that, before we get into the stop, drop, and breathe, was that sometimes listening to other people who know you really well, when you're not being mindful, and you're not giving yourself that grace, listening to them when they see you spiraling. And I have the honor of having my 7-year-old remind me when I am spiraling. Like, I'm tripping over things that he didn't clean up in the house. This was just over the weekend. And of course, I was rushing around doing a million other things, and my head exploded. I was like, will you pick this up already? Just losing it, having a mom moment. And his answer was, wow, Mom, it sounds like you need to take a couple deep breaths and calm down. And I looked right at him and I could not stop laughing, because that's really all I needed to do. Yes, he needed to clean up, but I didn't need to react that way. And there it is, So also paying attention to the people who know you well, and will be brave enough to call you out on those things, will help you to become more mindful if you just listen. So, Jack, what are we going to do with him?
He's such a mini sage.
He is.
Absorbed all of this from like having to be
from standing here on Zoom
home
calls, yes, and listening all the time. So he's wise beyond his years, but I think I do need to listen to him, and I did need to take a few deep breaths, and it did help because I wasn't mad anymore after that.
Laughing is a great way of taking deep breaths.
Yes, it's my preferred method. I do enjoy that for sure.
Well, and when we laugh, we are taking in more breath. And it's the reason why, because we do live in a physical body with physiology. And so the thing is that when we're attending to the physiology of like, hey, am I taking a deep breath? Am I holding my breath? Am I doing whatever? If we're just staying in tune in that physiology, then the weather inside of us is going to be different.
Yeah.
When you're coming back and when you're taking the deep breaths, you're shifting the chemistry of the body, the balance of the nervous system. And so it's not magic, it's literally just science and chemistry. And so if we can't control the thoughts necessarily, we can control the chemistry. And the chemistry, when it settles down, when it's a beautiful sunny day and your body is balanced, you're going to have fewer of those spiraling thoughts. Which is the train, sort of really going off the track. So that, I think, is what's been so beautiful about all the science that's come out lately, is just now we know how it works, and we know why it worked, what our grandmothers told us years and years ago, and what sages have been saying for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
Alice, I will say though, when laughing, I don't take deeper breaths. I have actually almost died at least twice in my life from laughing so hard, where I literally was like, I can't breathe and I'm going to die. But
Maybe you were having like that holotropic exceptional experience because
Yeah.
you're taking a lot of inhales versus the deep breaths.
while, like, yes, almost passes out when laughing sometimes. That's just how
That's the
it
best.
overtakes me, which is great and also a little terrifying, but
Yes.
yeah. All right, so we're moving towards the 1 p.m. So should we do the stop, drop, and breathe just so people
Yeah.
leave with a tool? And before we do that, I just want to put in the chat. So tomorrow is our special program with Jack. One of his expertises is habits and unwinding anxiety. And so we talked about that last week at Prasada Talks, and tomorrow he's diving a little bit deeper, because our habits of anxiety, right? Those loops, those spirals that we can get in with anxiety really are a barrier to our ability to be present. So that's why we wanted to really focus on anxiety this month as well, and dive deeper into some of the knowledge that Jack has to share. So in case you haven't signed up, the link is in the chat. Please do. That'll be 12:30 tomorrow. And let's stand up. So stop, drop, and breathe is exactly as it sounds. So it's when you notice in those moments, all right, I'm being I'm going to get sucked into that spiral of negative thoughts, or I'm overwhelmed with stress, or I don't know what to do next. Remember these 3 words: stop, stop, and breathe. This can be a whole practice like we'll do right now, or it can be each piece could just be one touch point that you work with. And so the stop is obviously stop, right? Acknowledge, okay, I'm not moving in the direction I want to move. I'm feeling overwhelmed, whatever it is, just stop, maybe step the feet a little wider, soften the knees, and just voice out loud or in your head, if you're around people, like, I need to stop. I need to create a little space here. And do that without judgment, right? We're not judging, I'm spiraling out of control. I'm acknowledging. And then you drop into your body. And so we'll just start maybe, and you move in some sort of way, right? You drop your attention into your body and you check in. Where am I holding this tension? What do I feel? Do I feel like my shoulders are glued to my ears? Do I feel like there's butterflies in my stomach and I need to kind of shake or swirl the hips? Do I feel tense in my jaw? Maybe I do a little massage. So you really drop into your body and you notice, where am I feeling this tension? What part of my body is getting a little hijacked? And you move in some way. Maybe it's dancing. Maybe if you're really frozen and overwhelmed, maybe it's just shaking. We actually see animals in the wild do that after they freeze. They shake, right? So we stopped, we dropped, we did some sort of movement in the body, and then we breathe. And we do those 3 breaths. Inhale through the nose. Try to have a long exhale out of your mouth. Another inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Maybe this one has a little sound. One more like that. We always keep it to 3 breaths as a recommendation. Notice how you feel after 3 breaths. Maybe it needs 12 breaths if you're really amped up. So it's taking that time to breathe, to stay in your body, to move your awareness into your body, and just settle. All right. Thank you all for standing up. Do a little dance. Go get a drink of water. Go look outside, take some deep breaths, and enjoy this beautiful fall day. We will be here next month for some more Prasada Talks and a new theme. So take care. Stay connected with our newsletter. We'll have more information and good reads from Alice about this theme of presence in October. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Alice, for your brilliance today. We'll see you all again soon, and be well. Go Phillies. Go Phillies. Take care.